Ich bin in Russland absolut glücklich.
I'm completely happy here in Russia. I have also noticed that everything I did in the past is proving useful here.
Vergangenheit, womit ich mich befasst hatte, dass ich alles anwenden kann hier in Russland. In meiner Zeit als Priester und schon als Seminarist in Deutschland,
I remember as a seminarist and later as a priest in Germany, I was exceptionally hurt, in fact thought tragic, the arguments within the church between the conservatives and the progressives, between those who totally rejected the Pope and those who wholly recognized him.
Natürlich, ich war immer irgendwo fast verliebt in den Papst.
Personally, I obviously always loved him and wanted nothing else than to stand by his side and go down the same road as him. I had many more problems because of that. We wasted so much energy on endless disputes, just in case, so as not to offend anybody.
Hier in Russland,
Here in Russia, this problem has surprisingly ceased to be relevant. For me as a priest, this is truly a paradise. Life and death battles suddenly ceased, and I can quite simply get on with realizing what we were taught as children in religious instruction classes.
für mich war es sonnenklar, dass ich Priester werden will.
For me, it was always obvious that I would one day become a priest. I really never had any doubts about my calling. When I was no more than 5 years old,
Kann mich erinnern,
I remember as if it were yesterday,
zusammen mit meinem Zwillingsbruder und mit
I was sitting together with both my twin brother and younger brother in a meadow,
unsere Eltern gearbeitet haben.
watching my parents working,
Ich fragte mit einem ganz
when suddenly and quite seriously,
ob jemand von meinen
I
Brüdern
asked whether any of my brothers wanted to become a priest.
ich war
And I remember my
vollkommen
amazement.
überrascht, wie mein jüngerer
My younger
Bruder, der
2-year-old
eigentlich das
brother,
gar nicht verstehen
unable to understand the question, turned his head in the negative.
den Kopf geschüttelt hat. Natürlich gab es die Zeit, die Pubertät und dann auf
Of course, there were the teen years, when different interests came to the fore. I also looked around after girls and know all those feelings inside out.
vom Anfang bis zum Ende. Und auch
But at that time, together with a friend, we began taking part in the Eucharist with nuns that worked in our school.
mit den Schwestern zu Besuch, die in der Küche gearbeitet haben. Und wir haben dann
We also managed to get one more classmate to join us at Mass,
auch mit
as well as my twin brother. And so it came to pass that out of all the school classes at the time, the 4 of us became priests.
geworden. Jetzt vor einigen
Alas, my brother died a few years ago in a mountain accident.
Also wir waren 4 Kinder. Ich war immer mit meiner Schwester.
We were 4 siblings. I always played with my sister. She also felt the need to offer her life to God. She entered the closed Dominican order, though she only lived in the convent for 6 years.
Krebs bekommen.
She fell ill with cancer,
Hat 3 Jahre mit dieser
fought the illness for 3 years, and then died.
und diesen Kampf
I
der 3
witnessed that
Jahre
heroic battle with cancer personally,
und wie sie ihr
how
Leben
she offered her
geschenkt hat,
life,
wie sie sich
how she made it a
aufgeopfert hat
gift,
und wie oft
and
sie
how
gesagt
often
hat,
she
sie
repeated
opfert
that she
dieses
was
Leiden
offering her
für mich
suffering
auf.
for me. That was a great retreat for me.
Das hat mich geformt.
I'm sure that it continues to help
Ich bin
me
überzeugt,
and
dass
gives
es
me
mir
strength.
und mir auch Kraft gibt. In Армении хлеба, ожидая его пришествия во славе. Помолимся.
Вы знаете, с моей точки зрения, люди делятся на тех, кто вечно
You know what? From where I sit, there are 2 kinds of people. There are those who are continually dissatisfied with something, and then there are those that do something about it. Father Erich belongs to the latter category. He's always friendly, always smiling, and always busy. He does great things for this town. I think that in some areas he is the only person in town seriously and constructively doing something about them. The fact that at the beginning he started working with a group of drug-addicted teenagers, with people who drank alcohol in unlimited quantities, was very important work. He does it his own way. He does it with the human approach. I believe that if I were to compare Father Erich's work with that of bureaucrats, then the useful influence coefficient in this case would approach 100, whereas in the case of the bureaucrats, it would scarcely pass the 25% mark. His approach is deeply Christian. He doesn't treat the symptoms, but rather the causes, the real causes of the illness. He sees a person as a whole, and he tries to, so to speak, return the person to God, through prayer and by strengthening the whole person, as well as by exploiting physical work as a means of building health. Also, by directing a person's attention by psychological means, away from the source of his or her addiction. Knowing our means, very limited financial means, administrative, also organizational and contact means, what he has achieved is quite simply a miracle. One cannot call it by any other name. He has built a big church. He has initiated dynamic charitable works and catechism. Today the parish is flourishing, no longer just old grannies who were there at the start. He knows how to find a common language with the faithful. He has an approach, and he also knows how to reach an understanding with representatives of the Russian Orthodox Church, which is also very important. All those who find themselves on the margins of society, for whom society does not want to see or know about and passes from afar, he sees these people. Moreover, he not only helps them materially by giving them money, lodgings or medicines, but also spiritually.
When I arrived here, there were 6, perhaps 12 babushkas. I knew no one else. On the other hand, many people quite simply began coming to Holy Mass, and that is how it all began. Today we have good relations with from 500 to 1,000 people in this town. But if we were to take everybody into account, all those who are somehow involved with us in this region, not only through the Holy Mass, but through the faith, then of course there are many more.
I got to know Father Erich in 2002. I worked in the education department, looking after children who had become orphans. Father Erich happened to be organizing foster families for orphans. We became close friends at the time.
Елисавета Павлина, я крещу тебя во имя Отца и Сына и Святого Духа. Аминь.
The fact that I am here is, of course, largely thanks to Father Erich. One wants to trust him. He is someone who brings people to faith, to Jesus. When we first met, there were a few old ladies in his parish, whilst now, on holy days, the church is unable to accommodate all who come. Faith gives hope, brings love. I think that baptism is a passage to a new life, in which you try to be useful to other people. I wish that everyone who has not yet found Christ would open their hearts to him, because he is calling everyone to himself.
Today, the number of those wanting to be baptized and to join the church continues to grow, though I never encourage anyone to join. There have been cases of people who in our church had come to understand who the Saviour is, and who are now devout, practicing Orthodox Christians. I am personally very proud of that fact. And that is how the work began, in parallel, with the babushkas on the one hand, ministering to their needs, dispensing the sacraments, visiting them in their homes, bringing Holy Communion to the sick, and of course, celebrating the Holy Mass or Burial Mass, whilst on the other hand, working quite separately with young people. A trip to the World Youth Days with the Holy Father in Rome was the best possible impulse. And today, as I look back, I have to admit that it was incredible. The preparations for the journey. We had a christening service just before the journey to Rome. It imprinted itself strongly on our souls and hearts. Moreover, because of that journey and the whole commotion associated with it, a new community of young people was born. Sometimes 50 people come, at other times only 10. It varies. More often than not, we tackle subjects associated with love, relationships and marriage. We feel that these subjects are the most important, because social renewal will only be possible when we once again have healthy families.
Nur so gibt es hier eine Erneuerung in der Gesellschaft, wenn wir wieder gesunde Familien haben. Amen. Slava Isusu Christu, во веки веков. Amen. Ich selber hätte nie gedacht, hier in Russland eine Kirche zu bauen.
I myself never thought of building a church here in Russia. After a time, I felt it my duty. We prepared a plan, the first floor as a social centre, the church on the second floor with all the parish spaces.
We are presently on the first floor of the Oasis of the World Parish Social Centre. The rooms of our parish priest, Fr Erich Fink, are here, the parish office is over there, and the accountant's office over here. The vestry is here. This is where the altar boys and priests prepare themselves to celebrate Holy Mass. Our centre guest room is over here. We also have choir practices, catechesis, and German language lessons in this room. Let us go to the church. Holy Masses are celebrated in this hall. This is the chapel where small Holy Masses are celebrated. The tabernacle is also here, where the most holy body of Christ is protected.
Здесь у нас кухня. Мы здесь кушаем утром.
Here we have the kitchen. We eat here mornings and evenings. Those who come occasionally also eat here. The museum is over there, as well as meeting rooms for anonymous drug addicts and alcoholics. I want to be a priest because I want to give people the holy sacraments, confession, the Eucharist. Earlier on, I didn't want to go to church, but somebody convinced me and I went. I liked it, and so I began going regularly. I've been here 6 months now. We have morning prayer, prayer during the day, and evening prayer. I attend the 31st trade school and am training to become a gas and electric welder. Father Erich is always on the move because he always wants to help everybody. He's always on time, so that keeping up with him is difficult. I would very much like to be like him, very much so. Having seen what a priest he is, I also desire to become a good priest myself.
Sie leben hier und
Young people live here and experience contemporary life whilst helping to a smaller or larger degree to develop the various areas of our ministry. Our Yuri is 17 years old. He has to learn his trade over the next 2.5 years, after which he can join a seminary. He wants to become a priest, but it's too early to prejudge.
Aber es wird sich zeigen.
Our aim was to mobilize the largest number of parishioners and engage them in the 3 basic ecclesial ministries: diaconia, serving the community; martyria, conveying the faith, bearing witness; and liturgia, divine service and prayer. I now understand that our parish is led by God down a very interesting path, meaning that our believers are involved in all kinds of services. For example, taking care of the poor, not only here to give them food. When somebody poor comes, we look for someone in our community to assume the task of serving as close as possible to love, as we call it, who, for example, buys food or medicines or takes care of other matters. We never give money and always help via a trustworthy parishioner. I've noticed when individual people get involved in doing something together, things truly grow. God is with us, and we can plan ever greater undertakings.
My doctor prescribes expensive medicines, but my disability pension is too small. I only get 450 rubles. The medicines are 2,000 rubles and more. I feel pain here and there. There wasn't enough money, so we went to Father Erich.
We thought and we thought, and we finally came up with an idea. We had heard that there was a Catholic church and that there was a good Father Erich there. So I went there. Father Erich received me very well. I told him everything, showed him the documents, my own and my wife's invalidity rights. Finally, that we needed help, and he helped us with our treatment. We were very grateful. I attended Mass on a Sunday and asked him, "How can we repay you?" And he replied, "If you can, please become involved with charitable works." And so I did.
There
are about 30 to 40 families in town, with whom we remain in touch via parishioners and whom we help. We help them by providing, from food through clothes, right up and including helping with things for school and other things. A few years ago, we received 2 lorry loads full of clothing from Germany, and over all this time, we distributed them to those who knock on our doors in need of something. We have 2 rooms in the cellar where we store the clothes and where it is relatively easy to quickly find whatever might be needed. And then either someone takes it to their homes or the poor themselves come to us and we give it to them here.
Arme Leute kommen her und wir geben es ihnen hier.
We began by taking these things and driving through villages. We also found an old people's home to which we also give. They asked us, "And how is it that you want to give these things though we have no money?" I answered, "No money is necessary. Father Erich looks after this charitable initiative and everything is free." "Really? All this for free?" They were taken aback. "Yes, all this for free," I replied. Just like that. Our friendship with Father Erich has lasted ever since. Seeing his good deeds, we also decided to do good deeds ourselves.
Здравствуйте, здравствуйте. Гости приехали. Добрый день, проходите. С подарками. Частые гости вы наши. Давайте я вам помогу. Все новое надо.
We need new things. Meeting one person's needs, including workers' pay, accommodation charges, food, all adds up to about 6,000 rubles, whilst 75% of their pension, which is what they pay, amounts to between 1,500 and 2,000 rubles. The rest is financed from the budget. However, the amounts are miserable and insufficient to dress everyone. After all, you need many clothes to dress a person, and now that clothes are expensive.
Мы, конечно, рады это то, что нам помогают.
So we are, of course, very happy that they are helping us. We can spend money on the more important things, like expensive medication.
Orthodox or of another faith, he helps all of them. That I know. People of many faiths come to this church, and he feeds, dresses, and helps all of those in need. It would be difficult to imagine such things taking place in the Soviet Union 20-30 years ago.
Действия, такие поступки могли бы быть совершены в Советском Союзе.
He does not lack optimism or determination. May God help him, and may he give him backers prepared to help him with everything he does. His approach captivates and impresses. I think that people who have met him just once will also want to help him.
Всегда возникает желание помочь ему.
The fact that we have so many projects planned and that we've managed to implement so many over these last 7 years is truly not the result of our initiative or plan. I want to underline this yet again. Everything happens of its own accord. More often than not, because we try to bear witness to love. That is the only explanation I find, that God has a plan. We are also unaware of where this journey will take us, but one thing is certain, and that is that the reins are in God's hands.
Gott hat die Zügel in der Hand. Was mir Kraft gibt,
What gives me strength? Private prayer on my knees, for example, in front of Jesus the Merciful, when I can stare deeply into his eyes. That changes everything, makes all my doubts and fears disappear, enables me to calmly return to my work. The awareness of being one-to-one with God, with nobody looking, nobody disturbing me, day to day is very important to me. Without that, I would be unable to do anything. I would not find the strength inside me.
Ich habe meine ganze Arbeit hier in Russland
I have placed all my work here in Russia into the hands of God's Mother and have said, if you wish, you can show your role in God's plan through our parish and through our ministry here in Russia, and use our parish to that end.
Dann kannst du unsere Pfarrei dazu benutzen.
And sometimes I get the impression that the Mother of God seems to take me up on that offer.
Auszunutzen.
Я думаю, что это латынь, либо это имя.
Вот нынешний благословение малиновое.